Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast. Your special place to just become and run and be all the things that you ever wanted to be. Like if there was ever a home for you to have permission, it's here. So let's go ahead and dive into our great things. What was my great thing? I think my great thing is just always having people who are willing to share their great things, hearing messages from you on work that you're doing and just like moves that you've made, not even as a result of this. I won't take credit for it because it's you. I think that's the hardest part of this work is knowing that some people will go ahead and chalk the win up to someone else, even given all of this work. I'm not here for the praise for that. You're the one doing the work. You're the one that's listening to this and taking prompts and moving through and taking out what you need. And I can't take credit for that. You have to be the one that seeks out the information. You have to be the one that continues the journey, continues the work, navigates through what worked for you, what didn't, what worked for me, what doesn't work for you. And that's not something that I can teach you how to do. The continued forward movement is all you, and inevitably that's all that would matter. Whether you listen to me, whether you listen to X, Y, Z, all the things, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's you. That's you. You're the one that does that. So anytime that I hear from a listener that they've done anything great, amazing, seemingly insignificant, but oh so very significant, it's just lifeblood. It's amazing to me that I could start this journey just wanting to start talking, and I really thought at the beginning that it was going to just be me like giving these motivational talks, la 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 la, that's what I want to do, that's what I'm here to do. And it turned more into a self project than it did a project for or about anyone else. And I think that that's the beauty of the truth of the story. The truth of the matter is you can set out very intentional to do something, and you can end up changing paths unknowingly. And I know when I started, I felt like I was in such an amazing place, and I'm amazed at how much I've turned up over the time, and I'm amazed at how many people it has helped and how many people it's just given permission to move to, and not every journey that I take is going to be right for every single person. But if it leads to, even one move that you wouldn't have made before, or it leads to you just reading one book that untails and uncovers this journey that you needed to take, then it's all worth it. And I think that that's just amazing. So anytime that I hear from any of you, what a beautiful gift, what a beautiful just chalk to my heart, and what a beautiful gift to yourself. Because I will say, there's like a line, right, that you would have to cross in order to feel confident enough to share something with someone, maybe that maybe that you don't know, but like that means you're leveling up. So I'm just saying, even if you message me your great thing, or you even acknowledge that there is greatness in your life, think about how much you've grown. Hi, duh, right? And even like the little things of just like, I'm just happy, or I don't know, like I'm not buying any of the books that you suggest, or you're one of the crazier people, but You're kind of this like baseline of freedom or permission for me. And like, what an amazing thing. And I know that in due time, like whoever this is going to serve will find it, whether that's 3 people or 300 or 3 million. Eventually it'll find who it's supposed to in the right time. And all of you have found it, and that means that there's something here to take away. Hopefully you find something. Or maybe you don't find anything, but it pushes you to continue your search to find someone who does fit you. And inevitably, that then has served a purpose. And what a beautiful purpose to serve. So I think my great thing is just hearing from people. We are getting close to venturing into the new year, which means we're coming up on our 2-year anniversary of doing this podcast every day. And I think about how far we've come. And that's kind of what we're going to discuss today. But my great thing is just hearing from you. Whoever you are, whatever journey you're on, wherever you're going. Like, I even hear through the grapevines of people who I know, and this is kind of the scarier thing, who I know started listening around the time that they were going to make a decision and they didn't know what they wanted to do. And then I'll hear like a couple of months, and then we start talking and they start asking about the podcast, and then I'll hear a couple months later that like maybe they went ahead and did that thing, right? And I don't know, was that me? Was that this podcast? Was that just even an inkling of permission because someone else had given themselves permission to go chase something they wanted? Like, it's just weird that that's a reoccurring theme. My husband seems to think that maybe means bad things about this podcast, that people are like up and leaving and changing their lives. But I think it's beautiful and it's a part of it, So just hearing from you is my great thing. Like every day waking up and putting this out there and never knowing what purpose it's serving is such an amazing kind of mystical place to sit in, because you just trust, right, that it's going to find the right people. And so hearing from you, knowing that the right people are out there and finding this is just such a beautiful gift, and it's all I could ever ask for. Okay, I was going to sing a song, but then I realized that I was going to sing the wrong words, or that I had no idea what the words to that song were. And I need to rest my vocal cords because tomorrow is episode 369. And you know that we've been waiting for that. You know that there is about to be some epic singing number, and you should definitely be here for that. I may even pull up the lyrics so I don't get them wrong, and it's going to be amazing. We're not here to celebrate 370. No, we are here to celebrate 369 and all the things that go along with that. We don't even celebrate, major milestones in listenership. Like, that's just how boss we are here. We don't mess around with the little stuff. We're only here for the big stuff, and the big stuff is episode 369, because we've been waiting since episode 269 to bring this content to you. So, like, gear up. I'm gearing up, probably be drinking honey tea, really releasing everything that I'm held up in with my vocal cords. Like, we're going to do some cleansing of that just in preparation for tomorrow's show. So if you haven't prepared yourself for everything that will be, if you don't have confetti sitting around with you, what are you even doing? Like, seriously. Tomorrow, I love you, tomorrow. Okay, I said I wasn't going to do that. I said we have to do vocal rest. Hanna, listen to yourself. Okay, seriously, tomorrow. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. Not before you do your great thing. Make sure that you take time today. Really think, reflect, take a little extra time if you are so able, and really like dive hard into your great thing. It is, it's such a changing process. I started working with a group of girls that I've been working with, and they're around age 12. And when we first started this, it was like, oh, this is weird. And now we're probably about 3 or 4 weeks into, doing this consistently. And last night was the first night that I had someone like right away, like, I have one. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I've been waiting for this, right? Because how often do we get to talk about ourselves and about the amazing work that we're doing, that we feel great about? Not very often. So it's happening. The tides are turning. And so that's just to inspire you that even like way too cool preteen girls get into this. You can too. Okay. Diving all the way in. So I think I titled this that eventually it gets better. And I guess today's episode is just like a promise to you that I know that I've been asking you to do low work because I've been doing low work. I know that a good portion of this year of the episodes were just like low and drug out and kind of just sad. I know because I shared some content and someone like sent me sad crying eyes, and I was like, I never imagined in a million years when I started that I would be like this depressing kind of motivator, especially because of who I am intrinsically. Like there's this positive, upbeat, like we'll get through this. We're good. Good vibes only. Don't even bring any of that sad stuff in here. Like, girl, you got this. Move. Right? And that's what I imagined I would be. And I think, especially from the start of this journey, that's what I was, like this power through. And, probably this spring when we finally started to embrace and acknowledge the reality that I had spent most of my life powering through this sad stuff and never actually dealing with it. I start to become this like real low, sad motivator. I don't know that it's been all that motivating, but hopefully it has created a spark in movement, even if it hasn't been motivating. And, there's so much truth to it. There is. And I think there's a lot out there that's just like, find all the things and then just go be that person. And, just love that person and ignore all those bad things and just pretend like they didn't happen, like you're stronger than that. Don't deal with them. You're good. Don't be sad. Suck it up. Move, sis, right? And like that's what I wanted to tell myself through all the lowness, through even like expressing the lowness. Like, Hanna, suck it up. Come on. Move past this, move past it. And every time that I would try, I'd be called back. And so it isn't even worth trying to escape. Like, you just have to go through it. You have to deal with it, whatever it is. And for some of you, that it is alarmingly painful, and you should definitely call in some mental health aides. If you don't have access to that, say that you don't have insurance benefits, because like I don't even know. I just know growing up we never had them. Like counseling, mental health, that wasn't like an accepted term in our house. That was just called like read a book or share a quote, like get over it was the basic premise of what mental health was for us growing up. And that's not because, anyone was crass or we just didn't have the money to do mental health. Like that was for much, 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 much bougier people than I would ever be close to being. And so mental health, counseling, therapists, all those things really were not ever on the table. And so it's hard for me to even put them on the table, to even think that that would be a thing. But what I do know, having worked in healthcare, having worked with some nonprofits, there are options out there. If you're dealing with something that's just really low and hard, reach out to any nonprofit, really any nonprofit. They probably have the resources or the connections that can get you in touch with someone who can get you help or help guide you through this. So don't do that part alone if you're not strong enough, and it's okay to not be strong enough. Like, some of us are dealing with really, really deep traumas, and I want you to be able to heal from that, and some of that work you won't be able to do by yourself. For me, most of my traumas, while maybe not requiring the depth of mental health because they're pretty surface level traumas, still very debilitating. Even more debilitating when I kept just piling stuff on top of it to ignore that it ever happened. And so there's a chance that if I had just dealt with those in real time, they wouldn't have been as hard to process later in life as they were. But equally sidelining, even more so when you start to just pile on stuff that you're going to have to take off to unbury it, right? Things that you put on to try to cover up that ever hurt you, whatever that looks like. And so, for me, working through that was hard because it came with a lot of acknowledgement that I had ever been hurt or that I should have been sad. And if there is a emotion that I don't feel comfortable with, it is sadness, right? And so you've seen that. You've seen that come out. And if you just started following me, you're probably like, sister, you have no issue with sadness. You are the saddest, right? And you're not wrong. This has been a very slow, low processing year for me. And I am and have to be here for it, right? Because I didn't want to repeat the same things that I had kind of seen come up and reignite over and over and over again, right? It would be like, oh, I'm happy. This is cool. I'm interested. Let's go. Let's do that. And then the second that it didn't serve me, bounce to something else, and then bounce and bounce and bounce. And I'm okay with bouncing to find the right thing. But this had become a habit, right? And I kind of just thought, do I want to bounce forever? Really, my goal was to settle in, do this, do the right thing, do what I'm being asked, live that life, just settle, do it. And, somehow that never was happening. And I don't think that was subject to those things serving me wrong. I think it was subject to me not knowing where I was even trying to go, right? Because we talked about that yesterday. Running in any direction is going to lead you astray. You have to pick. And I know that that's hard. And part of that picking process is going to force you to kind of deal with the stuff you've maybe been trying to avoid. And what I can tell you is on the other side of that, partially on the other side of that, not sure we're all the way over, but we definitely are getting close. I definitely feel that energy shifting. And for those of you who are is it even worth processing all of this? It is. Because eventually it gets better. And eventually you start to feel those weights coming off, the weights of those expectations, the weights of things that you've been trying to serve that weren't serving you. All of those things start to fall off and you start walking in your lightness. And that's the best way that I can describe that. I would say you start to like lay down in your bed and you don't sink in anymore. As a physical representation of what happens. And you just start to experience and manifest those things that you've been asking for. You know, for a long time it was just like, I just don't want to feel this like continuous energy of, I don't know if absolution is the right word. I don't think that's the right word. But this like just continuous buzz, you know, and that would cause me to not sleep, and that would cause me to like always be getting up and moving and never being able to sit anywhere for too long. Like it was just a conscious, like a neon light that just like serves this low buzz energy all the time. That was me. And that's how I felt in everything that I was doing. And so when we started this journey, it was like, we're seeking stillness, we're seeking presence, we're seeking intention. Like that's what we're trying to do here. Everything that we do, like it needs to serve a purpose. It needs to kind of contribute to the overall brand in which we are building, right? This personal brand of Hanna, of the death of a dream, of where we go from here. And so that's taken just a lot of time to really focus on what does make sense and what doesn't, and even try some of those things and see if they make sense. See if that's something that I want to keep or leave there. And gosh, you know, I would say the reason that you have to experience the low is because working through this part, even if you're past your limiting beliefs, even if you're X, Y, and Z and you've done all that work and you've set the goals and you know your intentions and you know all of those things, you have to be at full power. You have to bring your full strength in, right? And so for me, it's like we're creating an empire. We're creating like multiple business, serial entrepreneur. That's a lot of things. And so the working of that is no easy path. And so the processing of and releasing this bad energy and like feeling weightless and not having a constant buzz, like knowing what rest looks like for me, knowing how to build things intentionally so that I don't build back into a buzz, knowing what buzzing feels like, knowing what not being present feels like is super important. And then on the other side of that, being able to release that added weight so that I can move freely through decisions. Super important. And I know that it's been low. I know that we've been sad, but experiencing that was so that we could step into the fullness of who we're supposed to be. Yeah. Right? Right? We got to like let go of those things. Let them go. They're still there. We still know. We know that it happened, but like, let's release that so that we can start moving. And for some of you, that's going to look like a lot of self-work. That's going to look like a lot of just inner reflection. For others of you, that's going to look like a very long, deep, low process. But today, allow yourself to explore that so that you can come on the other side of it stronger than you've ever been, right? It's not worth pushing past. Let me say that again. It is not worth posting your wall so full of motivational quotes that just tell you to suck it up and keep moving and do, and if you wanted to, you would, and all those things. It's not worth just pushing past that pain, because on the other side of that fast forward, you're going to experience that again. It will get called back. let me tell you. And it will keep calling you back, and it will make you advancing your dreams in your life impossible. And you'll think that you weren't made to do it, and you absolutely were. You just have to process that stuff first. You got to get that weight off in order to be able to run, right? We have to release that energy. It's going to hold us back. If it doesn't right away, it will come up eventually. And trust, I've experienced it time and time and time again. Like, you will get called back into the slowness once you start to recognize when that callback is happening. You can fall back sooner. It won't take as drastic of messages, right? Because even with my job decision, I asked for specific things. I was served those specific things, and we made a decision. Whereas before it would have been like, okay, but I'm going to just ignore these things because this is a hard decision. I don't really want to do it. Taking this other path seems impossible. I'm going to ignore everything you're trying to tell me, right? Whereas instead, like, I'm asking for those signs. I'm trying to get help to make a decision, and then just making the decision, doing the hard thing, right? Glennon Doyle, we can do hard things. And here we are, doing the hard things, making the work, taking the time to process those hard things. Because it's going to take a lot of energy to continue the fight for your life, to continue the fight for yourself, for your dreams, if you have huge, audacious ones. And for goodness sakes, if you are here because your dream died, I am telling you, do not let it die again. You know what that feels like. You know what that pain feels like. Don't allow yourself to go there again. No matter what people tell you, right? Because like right now, all the things that I'm working on, people are like, yeah, I mean, don't set that goal. Don't set yourself up for fail. Like, no, I already failed. Like, these are the things on my heart, and these are the things we're going to do. And it's okay if that was too much for you. It is not too much for me, or it would not have been placed in this head of mine. And you know the same about yourself. And a lot of people are going to come your way and say the things that probably would have derailed you before. But if we've properly dealt with the things, right? The limiting beliefs, the negative energies, all those things, if we're moving through this world weightless and beautiful and like not flawless, like perfectly scarred, those things won't disrupt us again. Right? We'll understand that that is a message that they are sharing that is not specific to us, and it is not made for us. And it's okay. It's okay to keep moving. It's okay to keep finding who you need, right? And the people who align with what you're trying to say. It's okay, and you absolutely should. But this is the importance of dealing with that stuff so that that movement feels free and it flows, versus it being hard to process and potentially stopping you completely. So, does it get better? Does it get better? Yeah, it absolutely does. You know, we started this almost 2 years ago, and it was really just with the goal of like figuring out how to dream again, figuring out what my dreams even were, figuring out how to navigate that, seeing if like real live test of life here every day playing out right in front of you. Can you chase your dreams? I set out very specific parameters of how I was going to do that. And this is inevitably a live hypothesis, right? And what I have found is that, yes, you can, but you're going to have to deal with stuff that slowed you down before so that it doesn't stop you again. It gets better. Keep moving, even if that's not forward movement. Sometimes you're just moving within yourself. Move. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.